Hi, thank you for joining us for this week's Crafternoon here at the Coronado Public Library. I'm Jacqueline Luna, your Adult Services Librarian, and for this week's Crafternoon, we'll be making spring ornaments. Let's get started.
We have our wood painted egg here. You'll want to make sure you have your paints here to the side, and then it's helpful to have a glass of water and a paper towel that you can use to clean off your brush. I'm going to push this to the side though, because what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start on my design. And for my egg, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a chevron print. So what I'll do first is I'm actually going to grab a ruler and a pencil. So if you wanted to sketch out your design first, if you're going to do something like a chevron, that's really easy to do, and it kind of helps you. If you want to go freehand, that's fine too. But because I'm going to do a chevron, I want to make sure it's kind of going to be even. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and go down this middle of our egg. And about every half an inch, I'm going to make a little dot. So you can see there's dots about every half inch down. Well, it's pretty much in the middle. It's not exactly perfect, but that's okay with me. Now I'm going to go to my middle dot, and with my ruler I'm going to try and make as straight a line across as possible. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go about half an inch down, and at each half inch point I am going to make a little dot with my pencil. And then I'm going to go down to my next dot, and I'm going to do the same thing. So once again, and I'm kind of just making sure that everything in an eyeball looks pretty aligned. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think everyone who watches these videos know that I'm not a fan of super perfection, but I like to make sure it looks at least a little even for this one here. Alright. And we keep going down, and to my last dot here, I'm going to line up and do the same thing. And then, to make it easier, I'm just going to flip this over, because I like to make sure everything's kind of lining up nicely. And here. And my last dot right here. Perfect. So now you can see I've got a nice dot grid here. So what I'm going to do now is, using these dots, I'm just going to start on this side over here, and about every other line dot I'm going to draw a line. So I'm going to start right here in the middle, then I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go 2, and go over 1, 2 dots, and then line up your angles and mimic that line. 1, 2. Alright, same thing over here. We're going to go 2 over. We're going to mimic where this line is. 1 and 2. Oops. Yeah, that's right. Then go over 2. Same thing. Make sure you're lined up here. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3. And over again. 1, 2. Okay. So now we've got a nice row of lines here. So now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do the opposite to connect these lines. So you can see we've got a start point here. So now we're just going to kind of do the same thing on the ones below. So we'll go down here and we're going to just start on the opposite, because we want our chevron pattern to be nice and even. 1 and 2. So you're just kind of mirroring. And then if you see any you've missed, like I missed this guy over here and this one over here, just go back and go ahead and fill in those lines. So here are my chevron outlines. And again, we're painting over this so it doesn't have to be super perfect. And if you want to make sure you don't have too much, if you did your lines too dark, just erase a little bit over them so you don't have to worry about the pencil shining through as much. I find it helps to take a little bit of that color off because you just need enough to be able to see enough to guide you, but you don't need a tremendous amount. So I'm just going to erase a little bit of the places that I went a little harder on, just to make it a little easier for me. Alright. So now we're going to grab our paints and we're going to get started painting this. And there's no super special technique for painting on these wooden ornaments, but I'm going to go ahead and put my paint over here on the side. Okay, and now I'm just going to go ahead and get started. And so I've decided I'm going to do one color per line. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started here with my blue. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clean off my brush here, and I'm going to go and switch my colors. You do want to make sure if you're being like me and you're not waiting for each layer to dry, you're going to want to be very careful on this third color because now you'll have two wet paints that are around it. So just very carefully start to apply. Alternatively, you can be more patient than I am and wait for each section, each different color to dry before you apply the next color. So now you may be like me and you may have noticed a few spots that need a little extra color. So go ahead and fill those in. And then you're going to want to fully let this dry all the way. And then you'll do the other side. So just repeat this technique on the other side once this side is fully dry, because you don't want to place it down when it's wet, because then all the color will rub off. So we're going to give this a few minutes and we're going to come back once this is dry and we'll hang it up. Once your paint is dry, go ahead and take your string and you're simply going to thread it through that top branch and tie it into a knot up here. And now your festive ornament is ready to be hung for you to enjoy all season long. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Crafternoon, sponsored by the Friends of the Coronado Library. Have a great day.